Alright, this is John Colo with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. And I'm here homebound, really not leaving the house too much, maybe except to go out once, maybe twice a week, if I'm lucky to go shopping. But I am already stocked up on a lot of stuff. And actually, for this video, I did not go out and buy anything. These are all things I have stocked in my house, ready to eat. And I also have a lot more food stocked up for what we're going through right now. This, I would call it a situation, right? So, this video, I cannot avoid it. I have to talk about the COVID-19 or coronavirus and briefly my thoughts, but more importantly, how to minimize your risk and protect you and your family from this virus, right? So whether it's the COVID-19 virus, whether it's the flu virus, whether it's the cold, whether it's, basically any disease, the way we can protect ourselves is through our immune system, right? And in my opinion, what is going on out there in the media is basically disempowering people, making people live in fear. So, while it is good to be informed, I definitely would agree with that. I think there's a lot of negativity out in the world, and it's like almost like getting people to stay closed down and locked down. And if I go outside, I'm going to get the coronavirus and I might die. So, I have a lot of views on this. I'm really not going to share a lot of them in this video. But what I will say is that the coronavirus could be deadly, right? And there are many diseases that could be deadly. Heart disease could be deadly. Cancer, another disease that could be quite deadly. And we're putting all this emphasis on the coronavirus that may kill a small percentage of the population. You would think, by the way we're locked down, that if we got infected with the coronavirus, we'd turn into zombies and we'd start hacking other people up and trying to suck their blood and eat them or something like that. But the percentage of people will get sick, will have to be hospitalized, which may overburden the hospital system, which in turn, some of those people may not make it out alive, And to me, I think, this situation is just a little bit ludicrous, personally. I got a postcard in the mail. It says, President Trump's coronavirus guidelines for America, and they have all these guidelines to do, and I'm not going to read them, it's basically all the things you've heard. Avoid social gatherings, use pickup or delivery options, avoid discretionary travel, do not visit nursing homes, retirement homes. Basically, if you're sick, don't go out. If you're an older person, stay at home and away from other people, and wash your hands, and avoid touching your face, and sneeze or cough into tissue, disinfect surfaces frequently, and listen to your state and local authorities, of course. And it says, avoid eating or drinking at bars and restaurants, right? And it says, use pickup or delivery options, right? Nowhere on here does, in my opinion, say the most important thing to do to reduce your risk, your family's risk of getting sick and losing your life from the coronavirus or any other disease for that matter, right? More people die of heart disease in this country, probably on a daily basis than coronavirus does, but yet there's not news programs and scaring people out of eating the processed foods, junk foods, the high sugar foods, foods with high oil, animal foods in excess that cause a bigger disease that kills more Americans and more people around the world than the coronavirus, right? There are other more pressing matters, whether you believe it or not. The weather and climate is changing, and I think that's a more pressing matter, definitely in the future, maybe not for right now, but, people don't like to look in far in advance. And, the only reason why I'm making this video, and I'm here today, is because this is the information that I found literally 25 years ago that I've had to do in my life, not because I knew the coronavirus is going to be around 25 years ago when I started this back in 1995, but because I had my own personal health crisis. I was stricken with meningitis, spinal meningitis, right? The viral version. And the viral version of spinal meningitis, there is no cure. You can't treat it with antibiotics. I can only say I'm here today through higher powers, so thank you, God, the Creator, whomever you believe in, that allowed me and gave me a second chance to be here to, in my belief, do better, learn better, and more importantly, share what I've learned with people out there so that they don't have to go through what I did, right? And what I'm going to share with you guys in this video is, if they do come out with a vaccine for the coronavirus, the only reason why the vaccine works is because we all have immune systems. Whether it's our innate immune system or complement immune system or whatever, that's why some people stay well and some people get sick, because some people have a stronger immune system than others. And unfortunately, most Americans participate on a daily basis with things that depress their immune system, in my opinion, right? For example, if you don't get enough sleep, or maybe even if you get too much sleep, you gotta have just the right amount of sleep, maybe at least 6 hours for most people. Our bodies recover and rebuild when we're sleeping. If you're not getting enough sleep, then you're not gonna have a strong immune system, right? If you don't get proper amounts and proper levels, not too much, not too little exercise, right? If you're not living in a calm and peaceful manner, right? If you don't have a connection with nature, there are many things. If you're not having some cuddle time or some love time or connection time, these all play a very important, part in our health. And so I encourage you guys to have all those things, and I've tried the best I can to have all those things and live in a state of mindfulness or do meditation, something you need to just calm down, especially in these times, this situation that the news media is just scaring the heck out of people, in my personal opinion. Now, you may have different opinions, but in this video I'm just going to share with you guys what I've learned and literally the way I've lived, because when I was given that second chance, I had to learn how I could not end up in the hospital again, how I would not end up being in the hospital and the doctors telling me you might not make it out of here alive, because that's not a fun place to be, whether you got the spinal meningitis, which they had to do a spinal tap, which hurt really bad, or the coronavirus and you're on respirators and all this stuff, or any other kind of disease, right? Definitely not a fun place to be. So upon leaving, I asked the doctor, why did I get the spinal meningitis? None of my friends did. We were all hanging out, playing broom ball, and, and nobody got sick except me. And then he said, you have what's called complement immune deficiency. And that's basically part of my immune system. My complement immune system was not working properly at that time in my life, and I have yet to retest. So I want to get retested actually really soon, and show myself that hopefully that's working now, and it's not a genetic defect like the doctors told me it was many years ago. But knowing this, I knew that, okay, John, you have a maybe chronically weak immune system. And possibly because my mom did not breastfeed me when I was a kid, and possibly from other reasons. So I would encourage you, if you guys are going to have kids or have kids of a child, breast sucking age, feed them the milk, please. Do them a big favor, Otherwise they may have challenges in life in the future, like I have. But that also, allowed me to basically, how can I do the best I can to have the strongest immune system that I can so that I don't get sick, so that I can live in ultimate health and be as healthy as possible and maintain my weight and have the energy to keep up with my brother's, kid, my nephew, who's 10 years old, right? And that's just by living the way I do, having a peaceful lifestyle. And more importantly, the foods I eat are critical. So what I'm going to share with you guys today is how to build your immune system the strongest from published scientific journal studies, right? This study is like, well, this article is based on studies, and I'll put a link down below to this article. It's entitled Immunity in Depth by Oregon State University, the Linus Pauling Institute. Linus Pauling was a famous dude. You may know him because he made vitamin C like the most important thing you guys could take. And yeah, vitamin C may be important, but we'll learn about a lot of other things, as well as another published scientific journal published article that came out this February, just actually last month as I'm filming this, 2020, that talks about some other things, all right? So I don't want to pitter-patter around this whole time. I want to get right into this. And so this goes over your immune system. It'd be wise if everybody in the country actually read this article to kind of learn more about your immune system. I mean, what I'm going to share with you guys is my interpretation of this. I'll be taking direct quotes out of here, as well as sharing my thoughts and putting together what I've learned over the last 25 years to help you guys out. You know, and I know some of you guys might say, John, your videos are too long. Well, how much are you worth? Are you worth an extra 5, 10, 20 minutes to learn this information in a condensed format from me? Or would you rather sit here and read, literally this is 22 pages plus another 20 pages of references to published scientific journal studies, you know, and then read that, which would take even longer, right? It's up to you. Or you could turn this video off now and go about your way. I don't really care. But, you know, I know some of you guys are interested and want to do the best you can and are taking this opportunity that the coronavirus has posed on you, right? It posed on you more time to research, to learn, to do things, maybe partake in some hobbies. Maybe it's to cook healthier meals for you and your family because you know you have the time to do it. And I mean, that's one of the things that's really constant in my life is that I prepare 99% of my food that I eat. I rarely go out to eat. Like, it's a rare day that I actually go out to eat. I prepare all my own food to my specifications so that I can maintain my diet. And if you choose to eat out, you know, it's maybe not going to be the best, but, you know, you guys got to make your own choice. Would you rather go out and compromise potentially your health, well-being by, you know, getting the coronavirus when you're eating out and maybe eating foods that will imbalance your system, that will actually weaken and take down your immune system, right? So let me read this. The immune system protects the body against infection and disease. It is a complex and integrated system of cells, tissues, and organs that have specialized roles in defending against foreign substances and pathogenic microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, and fungi. The immune system also functions to guard against the development of cancer. And how many people do you know that have gotten cancer? Is that because there's, you know, because you're smoking and because of this or that, or because you have a depressed immune system along with those other things? That's a good question to answer. And I'm not a doctor, and if you have some kind of sickness, please see a doctor and seek proper medical advice, okay? So now we're going to get into the role of nutrition. Nutritional status can modulate actions of the immune system. Therefore, the sciences of nutrition and immunology are tightly linked. Poor overall nutrition can lead to inadequate intake of energy and macronutrients, as well as deficiencies in certain micronutrients that are required for proper immune function. Overnutrition, a form of malnutrition where nutrients, specifically macronutrients, are provided in excess of dietary requirements, also negatively impacts immune functions. See overnutrition and obesity. All right, so what are they saying? They're saying that nutrition is very important for immunity, right? And overnutrition, a form of malnutrition, is actually can be as bad as undernutrition. So what is overnutrition? What's this macronutrients and micronutrients thing for those of you guys that don't know? So macronutrients are the major nutrients that are on food labels, right? You pick up a food label, you could read it, you know, there's like protein, carbohydrates, and fats. These are known as macronutrients, right? And if you're eating fast food, junk food, highly processed foods, these foods contain copious amounts of macronutrients, you know, and all those contribute to high calorie load, but they don't have a lot of nutrition or depth to them, right? Processed foods have a lot of the nutrition taken out, but the macronutrients basically are concentrated for that matter. And if you're living on a diet of junk food, McDonald's, you know, Snickers bars, you know, little crackers out of the package, you know, cheeses that are probably half plastic, these have a lot of calories, but not a lot of health benefits, not a lot of phytonutrients, and more importantly, those micronutrients. So the micronutrients are the smaller types of nutrients that are also found in certain, but not all foods, such as vitamins and minerals, and polyphenols, and lycopenes, and antioxidants, you know, fibers, all these different things. Even probiotics could be considered a micronutrient, which we will talk about, right? And these are the foods that are deficient in a standard American or Western style diet, no matter where you live, right? Because people are just not aware of all these micronutrients and why certain foods are actually can be quite important to eat and you know, and critical for your health. All right. So let's move on in this article. It says so macronutrients. It talks about Protein energy malnutrition, PEM, also sometimes called protein calorie malnutrition, is a common nutritional problem that principally affects young children and the elderly. So is this why the elderly is more at risk for the coronavirus? Because they can inherently have improper nutrition. And I mean, basically, you may not be eating enough. If you're not eating enough, and and you're malnourished, either once again through not eating enough or eating too much and not getting the certain nutrients you need, then you might not be as healthy. I mean, think about it. I mean, I haven't been to like a elderly care home in a long time, but the food there that they fed my grandma wasn't the best from my memory, from what I recollect, right? I mean, a lot of elderly people are on Ensure, which is like some kind of powdered drink or drink with all these vitamins added. I mean, that's not real food, right? I don't know. I'm not going to really get into that. And then, so anyways, regardless of the specific issue, PEM, or protein energy malnutrition, significantly increases susceptibility to infection by adversely affecting the innate immunity and adaptive immunity. All right? So you got to make sure you eat enough, but you got to make sure also you eat the proper foods. So now it says we're going to get into some of those types of foods. So this next section is dietary lipids. Or what are lipids? Lipids are just simply fat. So you got to eat the proper kind of fat, and most people are eating the wrong kind of fats. Oils. If you're shoving out oils, most of those oils have the wrong kind of fats and may imbalance your system. So it says, experimental studies have shown that several types of dietary lipids, fatty acids, can modulate the immune response. Fatty acids that have this role include the long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids of the omega-3 and omega-6 classes. So, I mean, there's pages and pages that I'm really not going to go through, but what I will say is that there are you want to have a certain percentage of fatty acids, and if you really want to know more about fatty acids, EPA, DHA, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below, because the episode right after this is I interview my friend Dr. Rick Dina on EFA, DHA, and omega-3s, so that you have all the information to know if you need to get them through a supplement or not, or if you can get them through foods, right? So what I'm going to say is this, probably the best nut in terms of essential fatty acids are walnuts. Does this mean you should only ever eat walnuts and all the other nuts suck? Well, walnuts have almost the ideal ratio of omega 3 to 6 balance. Another thing I would include if you're eating any kind of nut are, of course, the flax seeds. The problem is most people eat too many omega-6 fats and not enough omega-3 fats. In addition, of course, the leafy greens, right? I don't have purslane in my garden right now, but all the greens you guys are seeing on the table were just literally picked out of my garden. I mean, even lettuce has, good balance of omega-3s. I mean, actually, the greens are probably the optimal, fatty acid ratio food to eat. And besides the fatty acids they contain, right, they also contain a plethora of other vitamins and minerals, as you guys will learn. And that's why, they are a mainstay in my diet. And at the end of this episode, I'll share with you guys how you could significantly increase the quantity of greens you guys can eat. And you're thinking, John, lettuce, man, that doesn't taste like nuts, or that doesn't taste like oil. Well, here's the thing, man. If you grow it and you let it grow, and you pick it when it's young and you harvest it, or not when it's young, when it's a bit older, you harvest it, you bring it right inside, there's almost a coating of oil that I taste on the leaves. It's very interesting, and it's man, it takes your lettuce to the next level, but I've rarely found that in store-bought lettuces. So you just learned how having the proper ratio of fats that we're not really going to get into in detail are critical for your health. You can get an omega-3 check. I do have other videos on essential fats if you're interested on this YouTube channel. Next, we're going to get into the more micronutrients, because fats are one of the macronutrients, and the micronutrients are, in my opinion, very critical as well. And it says deficiencies in select micronutrients, vitamins, and nutritionally essential minerals can adversely affect aspects of both innate and adaptive immunity, increasing vulnerability to infection and disease. Micronutrient deficiencies are quite common in the general U.S. population, but especially in the poor, the elderly, and those who are obese, right? And so once again, the elderly are at risk for not getting enough micronutrients. Is that a reason why they're more susceptible to losing their life from coronavirus, right? And President Trump, if you're watching, I care for everybody out there, even if I don't agree with your political views or how you, live in your life and your integrity and all these things. Dude, stop eating McDonald's and all that fast food and junk food, man. Eat some of these nutrient-dense foods. Otherwise, you might be like other elderly Americans and, feel the plight of the coronavirus yourself if it gets into the White House, all right? So, let's see. Moving on, it says, because micronutrients play crucial roles in the development and expression of immune response, selected micronutrient deficiencies can cause immunosuppression and thus increase susceptibility to infection and disease. So what are they saying? Basically, if you're not getting enough of these micronutrients, your immune system is going to be weak and disempowered, and you may be more susceptible to catching disease, including the coronavirus, the cold, the flu, right? I have personal friends of mine that claim that they haven't gotten sick in the last 10 years. And how many of you guys, a lot of you guys are already my viewers, how many of you guys could say that? I've been in a household where, somebody else has the flu and like totally sick and I don't get sick. Well, is that because I have a strong immune system? Well, I believe so. I don't know everything, but, I think that, definitely all this stuff makes a difference. What you eat, you are what you eat. This is not hocus pocus. Once again, this is all based on published scientific studies. Once again, link is down below to this article. So getting into some of the micronutrients that are the most important for your health or immunity. Number one, vitamin A. Vitamin A is a metabolite, and its metabolites are play critical roles in both innate and adaptive immunity. And so vitamin A, super critical, super important. How I get my vitamin A is through foods, right? And what foods are high in vitamin A? Well, sweet potatoes. I grew this very sweet potato. It's actually already sprouting because I haven't eaten it. And I'm going to pop that off and then pop it in the ground and grow more sweet potatoes this year. But sweet potatoes very high in beta-carotene, also known as provitamin A. Our bodies can take the beta-carotene and convert it into vitamin A if you don't have, some kind of like gene mutation or, DNA problem. Like if you've ever got like 23andMe genetic testing, right? Most people can do fine and convert beta-carotene in vitamin A. And a matter of fact, I think my beta-carotene levels were 2 times the amount that on the top of the list, of the top of the reference range for when I got my last blood test. So I have, and most Americans probably don't even hit near the top of the list. That means my body could efficiently take all the beta-carotene that I eat in the foods and convert that into vitamin A for me, right? And so other foods high in vitamin A or beta-carotene, carrots, right? Carrots high in beta-carotene. I drink lots of carrot juice, actually. Today I drank a carrot juice. And even more importantly than the carrot juice, right? This is something you guys don't eat. And we have them right here. Oops, I'm losing leaves. Carrot tops. So carrot tops, much like the carrots, which are the roots, right? This grows on the top. These were picked from my garden. You guys could juice the carrot tops to get beta-carotene. And even if you thought carrots had lots of beta-carotene, right? These guys right here, this is my Instagram post the other day, so you should check me out on Instagram, at Growing Your Greens. These are known as red vein sorrel, also known as bloody dock, right? This has even more beta-carotene than the carrots. So eat some of this stuff. It not only looks pretty, but will supply your body with the beta-carotene so your body can make the vitamin A if you don't have the gene, thing that says you can't, right? All right, next micronutrient that's super critical is the vitamin D, right? What's the best way to get the vitamin D? Well, we'll tell you in a second, but let me read this. Vitamin D is critical for our health, and it says vitamin D3 is now recognized to be a potent modulator of the immune system. And especially in the winter time, and especially if you're elderly, right? Most people don't get enough vitamin D because the best way, in my opinion, to get vitamin D is not from a food or a supplement, but it's from the sun. Lie out in the sun, sunbathe. And for us in northern climates in the winter time, right, we may not be getting enough sun. I mean, even I had a friend that lived in South Florida that got a good percentage of sun, but yet his vitamin D levels were not good, right? I have a friend that lives in the Caribbean who's out in the water on the beach, surfing and all these things all the time, and his vitamin D levels were great, right? So get some sun. Vitamin D is critical. If you can't get some sun, there are other ways to get your vitamin D as well, right? It said that vitamin D is recognized to be a potent modulator of two types of vitamin D, vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. Our bodies can convert D2 into D3 at some kind of different ratio, and so the best way to get the vitamin D2 is through vitamin D mushrooms. So I have a whole bunch of dried mushrooms right here. And these are not necessarily grown for the vitamin D, so if you are buying the mushrooms in the store, make sure you find a package that says vitamin D mushrooms. And here's a secret that I learned, that if you buy fresh mushrooms and then you expose them to UV light, so maybe put them in the sun, their vitamin D levels will increase. You could also maybe use a UV lamp, which I need to look further into. So that's cool. You can increase the vitamin D2 levels in the mushrooms. Now, another way to get it on a plant-based diet is to get a supplement. This is a vegan D3 from lichen. So lichen is like a moss that grows on trees, and this has been out for many years. I covered this right when I saw it the first time at the trade show, the lichen D3 supplement. So that was a pretty big news back in the day. And so especially this time of year, I am taking a lichen-based D3, and I am also out in the sun in the garden, but it's still a bit too cold to be taking my shirt off, all right? So yeah, and then the other thing is that, if you can't get enough sun, certain tanning beds, but not all tanning beds, will basically, or light boxes, certain light boxes, not all light boxes, will allow our skins to get the right UV to make our own D3. So, and that's what I'd recommend the most, or maybe go on vacation to Hawaii, which maybe I'll be going next month if my travel plans aren't canceled due to the, situation that we're in, all right? Next nutrient super critical for our immune system is vitamin C. It says, vitamin C is a highly effective antioxidant that protects the body's cells against reactive oxygen species that are generated by immune cells to kill pathogens. Primarily through this role, the vitamin affects several components of innate and adaptive immunity. So vitamin C, another very critical component. And I'll tell you that, I probably eat more vitamin C rich foods than most people, And let's see, so vitamin C rich foods include guavas that I rarely get to get. Most of the guavas imported are from Mexico and they have been irradiated, so I steer clear. And also most guavas you may eat, which actually I got some last month in Southern California, are white guavas. So I'd encourage you guys to get the pink guavas. They're more nutritious. But the white guavas I got at the farmer's market were actually pretty good, and they're super high in vitamin C. Aside from the guavas, my favorite non-sweet fruit, bell peppers. Right now I have organic red and organic yellow bell peppers, and I like to basically juice them, eat them in salads. I also will make a soup with the bell pepper juice. I'll put a link down below to the video I made using the bell pepper juice to make my uncooked soup, which is totally amazing, which is just packed with these micronutrients, right? In addition to the bell peppers, the kiwis, this fruit, for a sweet fruit, is probably the highest in vitamin C out there. Yes, even more than oranges. Oranges have some, and I'm not even going to mention oranges, technically. Also, strawberries. I got some organic strawberries right here. High in vitamin C, but even if you want to go even above that and just dose yourself with natural vitamin C, because have had some friends that take vitamin C powders, like this white crystalline powder. I do not recommend that. I recommend getting vitamin C in its whole food form, because aside from vitamin C, there are many cofactors, flavonoids and fiber and different nutrients that go along with the food. So fresh foods are best, but if you would even want a concentrated form, up it even more, you get something like this. I got some amla berry powder. This is super high in vitamin C. Eating this stuff will make your mouth pucker. And also, of course, we got this stuff right here. This is the acerola extract powder, another kind of fruit that's high in vitamin C. And let's not forget, from Australia, they got the kakadu plum, another very high vitamin C dried fruit that you guys could find, in the U.S. And you just have a scoop full of that. Now, the other important thing I want to share with you guys that I learned about vitamin C is that vitamin C does not hang out in your body too long. It might only rotate for a few hours until it's basically water soluble and you pee it out and it's gone. So you should be eating vitamin C foods regularly. Now, of course, these are foods really high in vitamin C, but other foods such as, leafy greens, foods that I'm growing in my garden, they basically all contain vitamin C, right? And so moving on, another very important micronutrient is vitamin E, and it says right here, several studies in animal models, which I do not agree with animal models or animal studies, as well as humans, indicate that vitamin E deficiency impairs both humoral and cell-mediated aspects of adaptive immunity, right? And they go on to the whole stuff and how that works. But basically, vitamin E also a very important nutrient. I do not recommend, John said vitamin C is important, vitamin E is, I'm just going to get a vitamin supplement. I do not recommend vitamin supplements because when they're extracting vitamin E or extracting some of these different nutrients that are beneficial for us, right? They may be artificially made, and or because they're not with their cofactors and not contained within the fiber, within the fruits, within the water content, within all the different things that come in a whole food, right? It may cause problems, may even cause cancer and all these other things. So I recommend getting your nutrients whenever possible from fruits and vegetables. In some cases, it may be important to take a supplement in rare cases for some nutrients. So anyways, for vitamin E, what do you got? You got sunflower seeds. So we got these Go Raw sprouted sunflower seeds that I like to eat sometimes. We got the almonds. Where did I put my almonds? I think we got the almonds right here. Also rich in vitamin E. We got avocado. We got avocado right here. Rich in vitamin E, as well as spinach. All right, so here's fresh grown spinach picked out of my garden. More vitamin E in this stuff than the stuff you buy in the store that's picked, processed, and shipped, and you get it maybe a week or two later. All right, so yeah, eat your vitamin E foods. Now, of course, the content of the vitamin E in these foods vary, and the other thing is that these are some of the foods that are richest in vitamin E, but once again, like many of these other nutrients, many different foods can contain vitamin E, but in much lower quantity. So if you're eating plenty of fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and maybe some beans to fill in there, you will get all your nutritional requirements met, all right? Next nutrient that the Linus Pauling Institute that says is important for immune system is vitamin B6. And it says, animal and human studies have demonstrated that vitamin B6 deficiency impairs aspects of adaptive immunity, right? So vitamin B6, another vitamin, right? And these are the ones that they have scientific published studies on, right? There are so many other vitamins and minerals out there, and I'm not waiting for the studies. I'm just eating a plethora in a widest variety of foods that I could possibly eat, like on a regular basis, so that I have all the different nutrients. And as I learn more about this nutrient or that nutrient and how it positively affects your immune system, it's all right because I'm already eating it because I'm eating a varied diet, probably the most varied diet that I know of anybody I know, because I have all these crazy things growing in my garden, foods that I source, things I get through the mail, powders, and all these things from all over, yeah. So anyways, vitamin B6, and actually I happen to be fresh out of bananas. B6, yeah, that's a fruit that's really rich in B6. Also standard potatoes, not the sweet potatoes, but standard potatoes. If you guys get the regular potatoes, I would encourage you guys to get the purple potatoes, which actually I have, and they're actually sprouting right now. Also the pistachios. We got a whole big jar of organic pistachios in the shell, and that'll help you to slow down while eating if you're buying your nuts in the shell. They're also generally going to be fresher for you. Also chickpeas, which I actually don't have right now. You can sprout them. You can also cook them. And of course, the carrots also have the B6 in there to a much lower extent. But that's all right because I juice carrots usually in a sitting. I'll juice 5 pounds of carrots, and so I'm getting lots of the benefits of the carrots concentrated in me, all right? Now, next nutrient critical for immune system is folate, and if you have ever been pregnant or will be pregnant, you know that folate is critical for your baby's development, or they may get messed up, all right? And so it says, a few observational studies in humans indicate that folate deficiency is associated with an increased susceptibility to infection. So once again, if you're not eating foods rich in folate, which is not the same as folic acid, which is a synthetic version of it, which is in a capsule or a pill, right? You can be more susceptible to getting infection. What is an infection, right? Infection are foreign invaders. Could be bacteria or viruses, right? So you are more susceptible to viruses. So how do you get your folate? Well, think about it. I want you to think, whenever you think folate, you want to say, that crazy guy John from OK Raw said, when you think folate, think foliage. I can't even say that word. I had a speech therapist, and she didn't help too much when I was in grade school. Foliage. Yeah, think foliage. Think leafy green vegetables. And that's what my other YouTube channel is called, Growing Your Greens, where I teach you guys how to grow your greens as well as other fruits and vegetables at your house. And I have a whole myriad of leafy greens here. We have the dinosaur, well, maybe you know, the dinosaur kale. Yeah, it's dinosaur kale, red Russian kale. We have some collard greens, broccoli greens right there. We have this cool green that I don't even know. I think it's some kind of like mustard, Napa cabbage kind of thing. Of course, we got the lettuce. Yeah, and if you think, John, man, lettuce, that's not nutritious, man. Lettuce, that's abundant in folate, even it might not have a lot of other nutrients like the kale does. And of course, the spinach. Of course, you know, there's folate in the carrot greens as well as the other greens I picked. And I have a whole backyard where I'm growing my own folate production factory, right? Which is a garden where I'm growing my greens, right? Folate, super critical. So folate is in spinach. Also another green that's around this time of year, I had a few from my garden this year, is asparagus, lettuce, and kale. Very rich in folate. And I maximize my folate intake on a daily basis. My goal is to actually eat 2 pounds of leafy greens a day. You're like, John, that's a lot of leafy greens, man. How do you do it? So I cheat, right? So I juice leafy greens, and if you juice a pound of leafy greens, it turns into literally only 8 ounces of juice. So today, early in the day, actually, my breakfast actually was basically 32 ounces of lettuce juice, right? Straight lettuce juice. It was romaine hearts with iceberg lettuce. And I got significantly more folate than most people do in a week, because 32 ounces of juice is about 4 pounds of lettuce in my first juice, and I do this on a daily basis lately, right? To make sure that I'm going to be folate sufficient instead of folate deficient, right? If you eat a little side salad with your cheeseburger, your hamburger when you're at the pizza joint, right? In my opinion, that's just not enough folate, guys. I mean, at least minimum, try to eat 1 pound of greens a day. Now, besides the greens that I juice, of course, you know, for dinner, I usually have about a pound of greens in my dinner alone, right? I'm eating kale chips, another great way to get my greens in, because I can eat a lot of kale chips, man. They're so good. I make them at home from greens in my garden, right? All right, moving on. Vitamin B12. Very important, according to Linus Pauling Institute. Patients with diagnosed B12 deficiency have been reported to have suppressed natural killer cell activity and decreased number of circulating lymphocytes, right? One study found that these immunomodulatory effects were corrected by treating the vitamin deficiency. So you don't want to be deficient in B12. How do you get B12? John, you need to eat meat to get B12. The only reason why meat has B12 in it is because the meat, the animals that are eating the plants materials are getting some bacteria, and then the bacteria makes the B12, which then puts it in the animals, which then are concentrating it. But if they're factory feedlot animals, then they're probably being injected with B12. So really those animals don't even have it anyways, right? So if we lived out in nature and drank water out of non-polluted streams, maybe that would have some B12 in it. But the way to get this as a plant-based eater would be, number one, from what I'm aware, Lentine, also known as duckweed, has lately come out to say that it contains B12 within it. I did an episode about Lentine at the Nutraceutical Show several years ago, scooped it before anybody else did in the plant-based world, because I saw it there. And of course, I've been talking about duckweed on my gardening channel for many years. So yeah, Lentine may be a active source of B12 that's not a fake source that can just fill receptor sites like some B12 or some B12 analogs can be. The other thing I do, of course, is I take a B12 supplement. I want to be, just in case, I don't want to depend on Lentine, which actually I haven't got. I think I have a small sample, but I haven't gotten, and I do want to try to start growing my own duckweed. But, and I do enrich my garden with probiotics and bacteria that may produce B12, but I don't want to depend on that. So I take a B12 supplement. The one I have right now is actually from Global Healing Center, and this is the B12 Tri Blend. So they have 3 different types of the B12 in there to ensure that I will have proper B12 levels and not be deficient as a vegan or a person on this earth, right? And yeah, even if you eat meat, doesn't mean you're going to have B12. You might be B12 deficient like the rest of us because animals are not being raised in the way they should to have B12. Next, micronutrient that's very important for our immune system is a mineral, and it's zinc. So you ever hear of zinc lozenges? Take zinc lozenges if you get a cold. Well, that's because zinc, it helps our immune system. And it says zinc is critical for normal development and function of cells that mediate both innate and adaptive immunity, right? Even marginal zinc deficiency, which is more common than severe zinc deficiency, can suppress aspects of immunity. So that's, very interesting to me, I mean, if you get scurvy, and they learned this back in Christopher Columbus days, way back in the day, if you get scurvy, that's like an extreme deficiency of vitamin C, right? But if you just have a subclinical deficiency of vitamin C, it may just subclinically, depress your immune system a little bit, right? And so, like, my goal is to not be deficient in any of these things. Many of these nutrients, it's always best to get the right amount, not too little and not too much. Some things like vitamin C, you could probably eat it till you're blue in the face, won't cause a problem. You could probably eat as much provitamin A, not vitamin A, as possible and not ever have a problem because our body will convert it. You might turn orange because of the beta-carotene that you're eating. But some nutrients are critical, and you can't get too much because it can actually be a problem. And, especially with the minerals, you gotta get the right amount. Very important. So how do I get my zinc? So I get my zinc from this stuff right here. This is called the Megumi Natto, and this is basically just 100% fermented organic soybeans. And so beans can have the zinc in there. Also, watermelon seeds. I have watermelon seeds right here, a whole container of watermelon seeds. They also are high in zinc, as well as the sesame seeds. So I didn't have too many sesame seeds left, but I have the tahini, which is basically 100% sesame seeds just ground up, right? Zinc, another very important micronutrient for your immune system. The next one is selenium. Adequate selenium intake is essential for the host to mount a proper immune response because it is required for the function of several selenium-dependent enzymes known as selenoproteins. All right. So where do I get my selenium? Well, the most important place to get those are from Brazil nuts, right? And here's the thing I learned, and many people don't know this. They just think, oh, Brazil nuts are good. They have selenium. Number one, you don't want to eat too many of these because you could get a selenium toxicity in too many. Maybe like 1 or 2 a day. You should look in to see how much you want to eat yourself. Or maybe like a handful a week. You'll probably get enough selenium in you. Another way I get my selenium is from shiitake mushrooms. I have some dried shiitake mushrooms in here that I like to eat. And they also are rich in selenium, right? And oh, the other thing I was talking about Brazil nuts is not all Brazil nuts are created equal, right? If the Brazil nut trees where they're being harvested from do not have selenium in the soil, then the Brazil nuts will not have selenium in the soil, right? So actually selenium is a nutrient, a mineral that I actually put into my garden, so it's highly likely that actually my greens have high levels of selenium because I'm actually putting it into my garden so that I grow greens with these minerals in it, right? And if you're just buying organic food at the grocery store, right, normal farmers are not adding selenium into the ground to grow your food, right? Selenium is not an essential nutrient for greens or plants to grow, as far as I'm aware. But it's an essential nutrient for us. So where are we supposed to get it, right? From plants, right? Brazil nuts, shiitake mushrooms. The next mineral or micronutrient that we'd be talking about is iron. And it says here, iron is required by the host in order to mount effective immune responses to invading pathogens, and iron deficiency impairs immune responses. So like, John, I get my meat from iron. No, I get my iron from meat. Yeah, iron is built up in the meat, and it is known as a heme iron, which basically our body readily absorbs as much as you eat, non-selectively. So, you know, iron especially is an important mineral in our diets to get just the right amount of, right? If you get too much, right, iron is an oxidant. You ever see iron rust? Well, that's an oxidation, right? We don't want too much iron. That'd be extremely bad. We don't want too little iron either. We want to get just the right amount, right? So that's why I get all my iron from plant foods and not animal foods, because the iron in the plant foods, our bodies are selective about. If we just put all this plant foods with tons of iron in it, you know, as far as I'm aware, we could never absorb too much iron because our body says, oh, we got enough iron. We don't have to accept this iron because it's not going to force its way in like the iron from the animal products, like the heme iron does, right? And so I eat copious amounts of greens to get my iron, but in addition, sprouted lentils have high levels of iron. Once again, the spinach, high in iron. Spinach also contains oxalates, which may bind to the iron, so you won't get as high of an uptake, so you need to eat more of them. Or you can cook the spinach, throw away the water, and some of the oxalates will go away in the water. But the thing I like to do, that I believe, and based on a study I saw, is even more effective than cooking your spinach, is juicing the spinach. So in the spinach juice, you're going to have less oxalates. And if you've been concerned more about the oxalates, you can look up this video I made at the Natural Products Trade Show. I think it was like last year, because they canceled it this year because of the COVID-19. It's a product called Nafur, which is basically an oxalate dissolving enzyme. And I think they derived that enzyme, I think it was from either algae or from like a sauerkraut or a probiotic product or something like that. So that's very interesting. So that could basically nullify the effect of the oxalates and not bind to those minerals, right? And just because there's oxalates in spinach, if you're a normal person without problems, you know, with oxalates and have a good microbiome, you know, I would not avoid this food. And the other thing is, you know, I have spinach one time a year in my garden. That's why I'm really piling it in, which is right now. And the rest of the year, I basically don't eat a whole lot of spinach otherwise. So I want you guys to eat seasonally. Of course, collard greens, which I grew in my garden that I do have year-round, also has the iron in it, as well as the tahini, or sesame seeds, also really rich in the iron. So as you guys can see, I'm eating, you know, a wide variety of foods to get some of these specific nutrients, but in addition to these foods, I eat so many more that may have iron and these other micronutrients in smaller amounts, and then I concentrate those to ensure that I'm going to be sufficient in my nutrition. All right? Next nutrient essential, according to the Linus Pauling Institute, is copper. So it says the copper mineral plays an important role in the development and maintenance of immune system function. And how many people you know take a copper supplement or go out of their way to get copper, right? Well, here's the thing, man. If you guys are buying strawberries, like even organic ones from the store, right, they've likely, from the research that I've done, been sprayed with copper so they don't actually mold, they don't go bad, and they stay fresher longer. I mean, you could tell this because I bought strawberries at the farmer's market, picked fresh, and I mean, seriously, within a day, if you don't eat those, they're starting to go downhill, they're starting to go bad. But because these are treated with basically sprayed with copper, right? Copper is an inhibitor of like bacteria and mold. And so they don't go bad as quickly, which is a good thing. But also, you may be getting too high levels of copper. And once again, we don't want too much copper, too less copper. And how do I know this? Because after I eat strawberries, in many cases, I'll pee this like funny color pee. I'll have this funny color pee. I'm like, they sprayed copper on there because I could see the copper coming out of my pee, in my opinion. So anyways, to get my copper, you know, I eat, well, the strawberries that are from the organic from the store, shiitake mushrooms, also, once again, the sesame seeds, or the tahini, very rich in the copper, cashews. Where are my cashews? Oh, my cashews are right over here. I got cashews, the raw cashews, and then also, another one that I really like that actually I had for dinner last night and the night before, buckwheat. So buckwheat, also high in copper. I sprout my buckwheat. It literally took a little bit over a day to do that. And it was the fastest to grow food you guys could grow and eat in your home. All right. Moving on. Oh yeah, the next, I would call it a micronutrient. I think they put it in their own category. They call it probiotics, right? And so, I mean, there's a whole new research and knowledge of probiotics that were never before learned in the history of the world. I mean, now they call it your microbiome, and it's really a complex, and we just know a a small fraction of what there is to know about the probiotics or the microbiome. It is critical. I actually wash myself with a probiotic soap, so I have beneficial bacteria all over my body to basically crowd out and block out the bad bacteria. I don't use antibacterial soaps. I use probiotic soaps. Instead of killing the bacteria, I'm encouraging the good bacteria that will kick butt over the bad guys, maybe those viruses and stuff, right? So it says here, probiotics have been shown to benefit both innate and adaptive immune responses of the host, right? And in my opinion, based on what I've learned, right, one of the reasons why mother's breast milk is so critical for development of a little human baby is because of the probiotics that are being passed from the mom to the baby. This is something I did not get when I was a child, and so I'm trying to make up for that now and taking lots of different probiotics, making them myself in my house, and buying some sometimes, right? So what foods are rich in probiotics? Well, I have some right here. Well, you could use sauerkraut, and this has to be a sauerkraut from the refrigerated section that says raw on it. It should also say unpasteurized. There are some sauerkrauts even sold in the refrigerated section, such as Bubby's, that have been pasteurized, right? If the top on the sauerkraut you're opening like has that vacuum lock, then it's been pasteurized, right? If you open it and it actually tries to bubble over, then that's actually live sauerkraut with the probiotics. So actually I make my own, and this is actually kimchi, which is a Korean kind of sauerkraut, fermented vegetables that I made from last year's harvest of my vegetables. That's well fermented by now. I could dehydrate it into basically probiotic powder, kimchi, or I add this to my dressings and salads at night. Another probiotic that I buy easily is the miso. I have had this on other episodes, and if you guys get the miso, I'd encourage you guys to get the low sodium one. This is the non-GMO, and it says less sodium on the front. This is hard to find. This one has 140 milligrams of sodium per serving, whereas some of these other misos have like 330 or 300 something, 200 something. This is the lowest sodium. Miso is a fermented soybeans. You could also get chickpea miso as well. Then you get the benefits of chickpeas that I mentioned earlier. Of course, I make my own coconut yogurt. That's been out of the fridge a little bit while I'm filming this video, so I'm going to put it back in there. Out of the young coconut meat, you can make your own nut and seed cheeses as well, using nuts and seeds, and then also get a double dip, because now you can get some of those minerals that some of the nuts and seeds are rich in, and then get probiotics with that. Super simple, super easy to do it yourself. You could make your own kombucha. I make my own kombucha here. I don't recommend buying kombucha at the store. I did make a video actually at a kombucha brewery where we kind of go into the pros and cons and all about kombucha that you never knew. I do not recommend buying at the store. It's generally overly sweetened, has forced carbonation, in some cases maybe pasteurized, and actually they're even adding in shelf-stable heat-tolerant bacteria when it should have its own naturally occurring bacteria. I can guarantee you my kombucha here is fermented almost to vinegar so that there's no organic sugar left. And also I flavor it with things like turmeric and ginger, which, like, trust me guys, if you had my kombucha, you'd be like, John, that tastes nasty. Because trust me, I sometimes think that myself. I'm like, man, this is not sweet. It's effervescent. It's bubbly naturally through natural carbonation through the bacterial process. It's got to be rich in probiotics, but it doesn't taste good because I have it so, like, so dosed up with ginger and turmeric. It's insane, all right? Now, aside from brewing your own kombucha, which definitely was a learning curve for me, you could buy some probiotics. So, if you guys are going to buy probiotics, there's lots of different probiotics at the health food store. Most of them I probably would not recommend. They may not have efficacy. They may not even be alive. One of the warnings is if it says, X probiotics at time of manufacture, that doesn't mean they're still alive in the capsules. It means when they put them in the package, they're alive. And then if they're shipped in a hot UPS truck, right, they could have expired, right? So the kind of probiotic I recommend is this one. This is my favorite one. It's called the Dr. Ohhira's Probiotic 10 Plus. It's 100% vegetarian. For those of you guys that are vegan, you may not want to buy this because I think they use some kind of like beeswax in the little capsule it's in. I don't have a huge problem with that myself. But basically, what this is basically just herbs and things they picked up in the mountains of Japan. They put it in little wooden vats and they basically fermented it. So it's like literally a fermented food in a little capsule. So it's not like made in a laboratory or anything. It's like a real food, fermented food in a capsule. And so that's why I like it. It is a little bit expensive, but here's the thing. This is my travel insurance. If I go traveling to foreign countries, I get a stomach ache, right? I take out 4 of those, the stomach ache's gone. Like, it's not an issue, right? Because once again, the probiotics kick ass over the bad guys. So probiotics are critical to your immune system, as according to the Linus Pauling Institute. Now, I think those are all the micronutrients and macronutrients, such as the proper levels of fat, in my opinion. Next, they talk about overnutrition and obesity. And unfortunately, my brother was labeled or diagnosed as clinically obese by his physician, but he's been maybe making moves in the right direction, but he's nowhere near my weight. Unfortunately, I think he's still about 50 pounds heavier than me, which is a lot of extra weight to carry. And unfortunately, most Americans, maybe you guys watching this, are overweight or even obese, which, I'm not going to blame you guys. I'm going to blame the American food system that probably is giving kickbacks to Trump, in my opinion. I don't know this for sure, but anyways, we're not going to get into that today. But anyways, it says right here, overnutrition can create an imbalance between energy intake and energy expenditure and lead to excessive energy storage, resulting in obesity. Overnutrition and obesity have been shown to alter immunocompetence, right? So basically, they're saying that if you're getting too much nutrition in terms of macronutrients, not micronutrients, which is what the case for most people. So whether you're not eating enough and getting some of these nutrients, or whether you're overeating and you're just, because you're already overweight, right, your body systems don't work as effectively. And there's 2 pages on this. I'm not going to really get into that. But basically, I want you guys, the cause, in my opinion, of overnutrition, which is, excess calories from macronutrients and obesity, is because of processed food, fast foods, animal foods in excess, and not eating real whole plant foods, right? Here's the thing, man. If you guys ate water-rich plant foods, such as bell peppers, strawberries, leafy greens, and carrots, you could eat to your heart's content and you will not be obese, in my opinion, right? And based on a lot of people I've ever met and seen, because here's the thing, right? These foods contain water, right? They are so high percentage of water content, right? The water fills us up before we can even eat anymore. So you're gonna have to stop eating, right? And so fruits and vegetables have the most, water content and have the least amount of calories. Leafy greens could have about, on average, or vegetables have about 100 calories per pound. Leafy greens even less. Some like lettuce, I think there's around 80 calories per pound. And then fruits, maybe they're around 300 calories per pound. So, it would be really a hard thing to overeat on fruits and vegetables, and most people just simply do not eat enough fruits and vegetables, all right? And that's the end of the Linus Pauling Institute article that I'm going to show you guys. Now, the next one just came out like literally last month, February, in the medical journals. It says immunomodulatory, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant effect of polyphenols, a comparative review on the parental compounds and their metabolites. So basically, this is about polyphenols, another very important micronutrient, in my opinion, that actually was not covered by the Linus Pauling Institute in their article, which I would encourage them, if they're watching this, to update their article and include polyphenols, because in my opinion, and based on this journal published article, as well as many others, it is critical for our health. I'll quote from this little clip I got from the article. It says, we conclude that polyphenols can modulate the immune system. While each polyphenol has its structural relevance and should be assessed case by case, so they don't really get into which polyphenol is good or bad. And here's the thing, right? There are so many different polyphenols and antioxidants and all these different, basically, plant chemicals, right? These plant chemicals are amazing. They're basically put into the plant, by the plant, for the plant, not necessarily for us, to protect itself from the weather, from the elements, from stress, from disease, from the UV rays of the sun, right? And when we eat these foods, right, then we get the benefits of their polyphenols that benefit our immune system, in my opinion, and based on scientific research that I've seen, all right? So what do I eat for my polyphenols, right? Well, some of the very foods that you guys saw. Some foods are higher in polyphenols than others. I'm going to go over some of my favorites for you guys. So number one, probably the wild blueberries. I get these at Trader Joe's. Wild blueberries. This is like, I don't know, $2.50 for 1 pound of wild blueberries from Canada. No pesticides. And wild blueberries, they're not the same as the standard blueberries, guys. These ones are deep, rich purple, like through and through. If you cut open a standard blueberry that you buy at the grocery store, purple on the outside, then white on the inside. These are deep purple. They're going to stain your fingers. My fingers probably been stained purple because of all the polyphenols and anthocyanins that I'm eating in my wild blueberries. Just $2.50 for 1 pound. Actually, I put some in my smoothie today. In addition, pomegranates, rich in polyphenols as well as other different kinds of fibers that are important for having the proper probiotics and bacteria in our guts so that we can do our modulatory effects in our immune systems and things like that, right? Another thing very important are the berries. So whether you guys get fresh berries such as these strawberries, which these classic organic strawberries, they're organic, right? Let me tell you guys, don't buy these. They suck ass. Like literally. They may look nice, all deep red, but they taste like nothing, right? Oh my God. Like, I can't believe how bad organic food is in the store. I mean, I'm used to growing my own. I grow my own strawberries certain times of the year. And then also I get them usually at farmers markets, right? But aside from that, even if you can't buy your own berries, there are alternatives, right? You can get dried berries. So I have these berries. These are actually just dried aronia berries. They're nice, deep, rich purple. They're organic. You guys can get dried berries and different berry powders, dried goji berries. And also... I have berry powders. I don't have anything out on the table here, but I have some. I have lots of different berry powders of all different colors. I have cranberry powder. I probably have aronia berry powder, chokeberry powder, black currant powder. I mean, I have acai, maki berry powders, all different kinds of powders. Actually, many of which I put in my smoothie today. Also, of course, we got the tea. Let's not forget about the polyphenols in the green tea. This is the matcha tea powder, which is basically just ground up tea leaves. I also grow tea in my garden if it's still alive after this winter we had, that I could eat the tea leaves for their polyphenols. Another thing is cacao. I'm not a big, huge fan of cacao, but if you guys want to eat it on an irregular basis, not on a daily basis, these are just raw cacao beans I harvested out of a cacao pod and then dehydrated. Super raw, not heat processed at all. Of course, another thing I really like to get my polyphenols, my purple carrots, right? I have an amazing picture of my purple carrots cut in half. Deep purple, I made 100% purple carrot juice. Super rich in polyphenols, right? I want to encourage you guys. Polyphenols make the color of the foods. There's polyphenols. Oh, man, look at this one. I love this leaf here. This is like a purple, polyphenol rich, kind of like Napa cabbage, mustard, green leaf. I'll be eating in just a few minutes after I make this video. But yeah, polyphenols are in colorful foods. So I want you guys to eat a colorful diet and go out of your way to get some of those purple foods, some of those red foods, orange foods. The beets. Beets has beta-lanes in there. All different colors of foods, rich in polyphenols. And yeah, some of them are researched, some of them are not researched. And I don't really care. I'm just eating as many of those as I can get into me so that I have all the benefits of these amazing foods that they provide. Now, if you're wondering, John, man, you cover a lot of stuff. I can't eat all the crazy ass things you guys get. I mean, this is like literally what's in my kitchen, and I have jars and jars and packets of even more stuff that I can't fit on this table. I mean, all this stuff barely fit on this table here, and some of this stuff I gotta get back actually in the fridge right now, or I'm gonna eat it tonight for dinner. But if you guys could only do one thing, and I will say, I want you guys to do this. That's just a jar, John, of like juice under vacuum. Yeah. So this is just 100% vegetable juice in this 32-ounce mason jar. Is literally 4 pounds of fruits and vegetables. I think this one's actually mostly vegetables. I think I have a few Granny Smith apples in there, but it's like mostly, orange carrots with some purple carrots with some greens more than likely, and some Granny Smith apples, some beets in there, and ginger. So this is like literally a root juice. So this allows me to literally get 4 pounds of vegetables in me. And lately I've been doing 2 juices a day. So like half my meat, half the food I eat a day are juices. I think today did I do 3 juices? Sometimes I do 2 or 3 juices, 24 to 32 ounces each juice. in a day, so I'm already cranked up even before I eat the first morsel of food touches my lips. I've already pounded in 8 pounds of the vegetables that are rich in polyphenols, vitamins, and minerals. Some of these different, micronutrients that I've talked about today, and of course a lot of that water content, the structured water, filtered by the best filters on the planet, the plants, in my opinion, with all the different minerals and phytonutrients. So juicing, and I will tell you guys also, give a disclaimer, I do sell juicers for a living, and and that's not why I'm recommending juicing, but juicing is literally the way that most Americans who don't otherwise eat fruits and vegetables can make it easy, simple, and tasty, right? If juicing straight carrots is not good for you, right, add some apples in there, right? It's going to taste a lot better. Add some pineapple. Pineapple carrot juice is an amazing, delicious drink, and while pineapple isn't my favorite to juice because you don't keep a lot of the fiber in the juice, I think it's only 10% soluble fiber. Even in carrots, when you juice, you're getting some of that soluble fiber, which we didn't even talk about, and that's also very important, in my opinion, for our immune system, because the fiber and the soluble fiber in the fruits and vegetables and plant foods feed our beneficial microbiome so that they can flourish, so that we can have better immunity, because they are so important to us, right? So basically, to sum this video up, man, eat your guys' fruits and vegetables and a plethora of different plant foods so you can have stronger immunity, so that you guys don't have to live in fear and be scared of the coronavirus, right? I mean, if you have strong immune systems, right, you're not as likely to get sick. You're not as likely to lose your life, in my personal opinion. And the problem today is that most people are eating a standard American diet full of junk food. They're not eating the foods that I'm eating, right? I see people filling up their grocery carts of all the canned food, the processed food, the junk foods, top ramen. All these foods are high-calorie foods. All these pre-prepared fish sticks and hot dogs and hamburgers, right? Those foods, processed meat products with salt, have been shown to cause cancer, according to the World Health Organization. And it's like, we really need to step back and change your diet, and now is the opportune time to do so after you've watched this video. Learn about some of the foods that I eat, and I have over 2,500 videos on YouTube explaining to you guys how to incorporate more fresh fruits and vegetables in your diet. On this channel, there's about 500 videos on eating fruits and vegetables as the mainstay of your diet. OK Raw, I have a YouTube channel, Growing Your Greens, where I have over 1,600 videos now on how to grow your own food, so you guys can become independent of the grocery store and grow higher quality food, including adding some of the trace minerals like the selenium and like the different trace minerals in the forms of rock dust and ocean solids that most farmers are not adding to have tastier, better greens. Actually, upcoming next, I have a video where I have a friend, she tests my different kales, and you learn about the best tasting kale in the world. If you don't like kale right now, you'll learn the best one to grow that I grew this year that she says tasted like sugar cane. It was that sweet. Yes, it was. Also, another channel called Discount Juicers, where actually I compare and contrast all the different major brand juicers in the world, so you guys could select the right juicer for you, so you guys could concentrate the beneficial phytonutrients, vitamins and minerals, and trace elements in the fruits and vegetables and get them into you. And this is basically how I live my life and how I've been living it for 25 years and how I hope to live it for many more. And I hope after watching this video I've motivated you just a little bit to at least incorporate more fruits and vegetables and some of these rich foods, and make sure you are nutrient replete instead of nutrient deplete, especially some of the nutrients that I've talked about according to the Linus Pauling Institute and the published study. Those very important polyphenols, different vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, copper, the probiotics, proper ratios of essential fats. These are all very important, and this is what I've literally spent the last 25 years of my life learning so that I could have the strongest immune system, and that's what I try to share with you guys on my channel. And I do certain things for certain reasons, and it may seem a little bit odd or weird, but to me, this is just my life, and this is how I love living. And hopefully you guys love your life too, and hopefully you guys will make some changes so that you guys can become literally disease-proof, as a friend, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, puts it. If you guys are looking for a specific book on how to do this whole diet plan, diet style, I haven't written a book yet on my specific diet style yet, maybe one of these days, but I would recommend, Dr. Joel Fuhrman's books by actually Super Immunity is actually the book I'd recommend by Dr. Joel Fuhrman right now, because we all in this time should be building our immune system. And then more importantly, even after this situation is over, continue this diet so that your immune system can be strong and you can be more resilient to outside invaders, whether they're bacteria, viruses, or next year's Russian flu, or wherever it's coming from, all right? So if you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. Also, be sure to share this video with others you guys believe it could help. I mean, this is just good, solid, science-backed information that I've been doing, that I've been learning over the many years that could also help you. So be sure to share this with as many people as you guys can to get them keyed in on how to, not live in fear and, protect yourself against the coronavirus, as well as other viruses and bacteria and diseases out there, actually. And if also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes that are coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up, what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell while you're at it to make sure you get notified as my new videos come out. As I said, my next video is going to be on essential fats with Dr. Rick Dina, and a very important and good episode, actually. And also be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. I think I have nearly 600 episodes on this channel dedicated to teach you guys all about eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, the most beneficial plant foods on the planet, in my opinion. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.